What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. Cage is back for some more transfer news, rumors, and everything in between. Going to discuss today a winger that Leeds are holding interest in. I'm going to give a bit more detail on that. Going to talk about a transfer wish for myself, and I think for maybe a few of you that would hope that we'd probably get, but I think it's looking very unlikely. And also going to discuss Junior Firpo, and that's going to be towards the end of the stream. Smash a like on the video. Please like the video. It really does help out the algorithm. That's what this YouTube game is all about. Like the video. It's free to do. And if you want to become a member of the channel, the membership link is in the description. And drop a comment if they're sensible. Shout out to Mr. P for the super thanks on the last video. And thank you to Sai for the super chat before we've even started, man. I could complete rubbish in this one, Sai, and you've given me a super chat. So listen, that kind of support, it just goes a long way. So thank you to everyone that does support in that way. Look, I mean, there's a lot of congratulations in the chat, guys. It's been at that number for a little bit, but I think it just kind of goes to show that I don't really talk about it that much, why people are saying that. But no, I don't go on that. I've given up on all that stuff. If people subscribe, they subscribe. At this point, I don't care. I prefer to get the hate views. It's all good to me. Lee saying Dutch players do well. Let's go. Yeah, we're not going to be too long today. Not going to be too long. So yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit info on him. This is not somebody that I've seen play, so I will not profess to know everything about him. But I've spoken to somebody that works in that football department in Europe that can give me info, and I've also spoken to a friend that watches Eredivisie. Says that this guy, by all intents and purposes, is very quick, got an eye for goal, but is very raw. And I think that probably goes without saying, just looking at his previous numbers that he's held before. And, you know, he was in a bad team, and he's also had six goals, 6 assists. So that's not too bad being in a lower end Eredivisie team. So there's obviously room to grow with Driouech. I'm going to call him Driouech. I don't know how to say his name. I'm going to go with Driouech for now. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, Maxie. Oh, how can I forget? I hope y'all looking good, smelling good. You know, all of that stuff. You know how it goes. But you know, it sounds like Excelsior want 3.5 million or around that figure. I think PSV are trying to get him, and it sounds like that's his preferred destination, to stay in Holland and go to. I think it may be Feyenoord that wants to get him. It could be Feyenoord, but the main thing in regard to this is I asked my guy who works in all the European football transfers and stuff, and he said to me this, and it's simple as this: his guy at the club says that they've looked at Leeds, have looked at him a few times, but he's not sure if there's serious interest. They're weighing up other options, and that's the most important thing that I want to take out of this. In that, if this was the guy to replace Somerville, I think there'd be a lot of like, you know, is this the person to try and even come close to replicating what Crescencio has done in the Leeds United shirt? It's a tall order. It's probably going to take more than one player to do it overall. But the fact that it's one of the options and that Leeds are looking at this, I liken it to Borussia Dortmund looking at Couhaib, but Jordy Schouten from PSV being their first choice. There's options out there, isn't there? Clubs are weighing up what's best monetarily as well, which is obviously important in the division we're in. And the fact that we're looking at this type of player anyway, by all means, he's very, very quick as well, very quick. So you think about him and Dan James on the wings, that would be a nightmare for any championship defense. But it's about the kind of player that we're trying to get here. It looks like we are trying to look for another direct winger, probably like an inverted winger, plays on the left, but is right-footed. So it looks like we're going for that style again. And I'm all for that. You know, that's how the game is now. Who? Oh man, now you're not getting me with that. That was close though. That was close. I'm gonna call you who. How about that? Raw player but cheap, and it's like an Emi Buendia to Norwich. Yeah, and this is it though. It's more about that kind of thing. In that we need to go into these European markets and get these kind of players for cheap. You know, I'm going to mention someone in a bit that probably wouldn't have been cheap to us, but there are plenty, so many players out there. And my guy, I mean, we're always talking about players that are out in Croatia, you know, these kind of places where the talent that is coming through those countries at the minute is huge. Obviously, we're at a disadvantage now because of Brexit, so we can't get those players like we could have before. You know, they need to pass work permit guidelines and everything else. But there is so much raw, unearthed talent out there. It's just about finding them. It's about getting the scouts out there, profile him the right way and getting them through. And if Driouech is one of those, what they're looking at, it would be nice to see what else we're looking at, who's probably be better than this guy. Maybe a bit more pricey, and that's probably what Leeds might come back to. Sevilla are also interested in him, Victor Orta, Sevilla, and Swansea City as well looking at him. So there's a few clubs that are looking at this talent, and you can see why in terms of what he did last season. Yeah, you almost got me. You almost got it was close. It was close. Matt C saying quick and raw striker. I like to hear cool and clinical instead. Well, he's not a striker. He's a winger. He's an inside forward. So he's not gonna touch the number 9 places. Well, he shouldn't anyway. But yeah, look, the fact that we are looking out for these kind of players around the European market is music to my ears, because I want to get a player that I don't know nothing about, and I don't watch Dutch football, so it's as simple as that. I don't catch Dutch football, as people know. Ligue 1 is my one. And listen, Ligue 1's in trouble, man. They even got a TV deal. Mbappe left. He took the TV deal with him. It's all mad. But there is so much talent out there, and the most important thing for Leeds United is that it's cheap, and people, we have to kind of get that into our heads. If we can fill our squad with cheap players here and there, but a quality, that's the way to go forward, especially for us at Championship level. Why are people saying congratulate? What's going on? Maybe I need to advertise more when I hit a milestone. I don't know, but yeah, shout out to all you guys, man. Matt C. Matt, I was gonna say this. If Orta's looking at him, we need to stay clear. When I was reading that Sevilla interested, Matt, I was thinking, people might be happy with this, but if Victor Orta was here, people would be calling this another chancer move, isn't it? They'd be ripping it. But we know that the 49ers are looking, they've got a more extensive scouting base. You've got to think as well with the Red Bull connections as well. That's increased tenfold as well. So look, you're not going to get every transfer right. I always say that. You can only do your best. Even when you think you've got a sure thing, it ain't always a sure thing. And we've seen that proven through time. But you can only do the best with what you've got. And look, we have to make smart additions this summer. It's imperative we do. Leeds here saying, and this is the other side of it. Yeah, perfect signing for PSI. Exactly. It's cheap and cheerful, isn't it? But if you get this kind of player and it translates well to the Championship, which it could do, then you've hit a gold mine. Will say this though, one of the goals I did see him watch on his highlight video, he ain't scoring that in the Championship, bro. His leg would have been taken off before he even went round the third person. It would be all mad. Like, he ain't getting that kind of goal in the champ. And if he does, then we've hit gold 100%. But yeah, he's a very tricky player, very quick, eye for a goal. But I need to make this clear. Leeds United are weighing up other options. So if he doesn't come through the door, don't be disappointed or don't have any expectations on it. Leeds are looking through a host of players. And I can tell you that. Isaac here saying Orta actually has a decent eye for talent. His hit rate, it's interesting, isn't it? I guess if you get a Victor Orta's hit rate, is it more success than not? I would say no overall, Isaac. But what I will say is that he's not a very good negotiator. I think that's very clear from some of the prices we paid for some players. Now, of course, you can go with the Pascal Strout being brilliant, Somerville being brilliant, Rafinha being brilliant, 100%. But then you've also got to look at some of the duds and also some of the players that he refused to move out because he was passionately in love with them. So there's, see, all of the things that come in for me when you're talking about eye for talent, it encompasses a lot of things. It's not just about picking players, it's about knowing when to let them go as well. And Victor was absolutely terrible at that. Jack Harrison, being part of that reason as well. Andre was willing to sell him. Victor Orta and some other people behind the scenes said, no, keep Jack Harrison, sign him to a new contract with that loan clause. Yeah, he's spotty for me. He's spotty, but he's the pass. He's the pass. So yeah, exactly. Isaac says that, agreed, negotiations is horrible. Yeah. So let's see what happens with this one. We'll keep an eye on it and see if there's anything to go forward. Moving on, I just want to talk about Gabriel Sara, who, I guess if people have got recency bias, they probably won't rate him because he didn't do much against us in the semi-final, but we were tremendous in those games, as we should have been, being the better team. But Gabriel Sara over the season was absolutely wonderful for Norwich. Box to box kind of player, can play deep, can play attacking. And I'm just thinking as well, in terms of us being, we got Brendan Aronson back, we got Dan James back. That's a lot of running about. That's a lot of, energy. We need some technical prowess as well because we're going to have the ball. You need these kind of players. I think this one, though, is going to be out of reach in terms for Leeds because it looks like he's going to leave the championship, and Roma have been interested in him. Daniel De Rossi fancies him a lot, thinks that his profile can match the Italian Serie A, which I think it could too, people. I think that he could come to the Premier League. I think he could go up to the Premier League. That's kind of why I was looking at him. 24 years old, set pieces, absolutely on it. Can score you direct free kicks, can take corners, hey, and all that stuff. And you look at you just look at his numbers from last year: 13 goals and 12 assists in the Norwich team. That's brilliant, people. That's excellent. So I think this one is going to be out of reach for us, but I want us to go for this kind of profile. Wherever the 49ers are scouting, please try and get this kind of player, a complete player, not just someone that's good at set pieces and then doesn't do the other stuff. I want it to be a complete midfield. I want you to get something close to it, like Norwich did with Gabriel Sara, because he's a game changer. Now, yeah, he didn't change the game against us, but we were a better team. It's asking a lot for him to do that, and half of their team as well were a bit injured as well. Dr. Cox saying KG Roma can't afford him. Well, look, this is it. Dr. Cox, I don't know if they can afford him. I don't know what Norwich are looking for to get him, but this is what I'm saying, and it's so important people take this on board. When these players are looking to go to the next level, sometimes those clubs at the next level either can't afford them or they hesitate, and that's when you have to pounce. And if, say, Norwich need to sell him for whatever reason, and it's a decent price, because I do believe he can transfer to the Premier League. I don't think it's even a question. I think his game is suited to that kind of football. Then you go and get him. You absolutely go and get him. And you think of having him in midfield. You got Ampadu behind him. Whoever's in the 10. Aronson or Jorginho. Hey, you've got a nice balance there. Absolutely. And he does all the dirty work as well, people. For all the people that love all that heat map stuff, he does all that. He's near enough complete player. You know what I mean? And it just would be a brilliant signing. Roma have the finances of Bradford City. Tremendous. Yeah, listen, I don't know what's happening with Llorente. We'll see what happens. By the way, in regards to Llorente, I just want to say, because somebody did mention Llorente. I forgot to mention it in yesterday's stream, but they were saying about Llorente, but Llorente was never one of the people that tried to escape. Like, we offered him, if you remember with Llorente, it was looking likely that we were going to sell him in January of that year. Can't remember which year it was. And then he ended up signing a new contract. And I think it was on slightly reduced wages. And it just extended a year, whatever it was more protection for him, but it was also protection for Leeds to try and get more money out of it, the whole sign new contract with value. So I don't count Llorente in that same bracket as the rest of the people that tried to race out the door, because I think that he already had a foot out the door to begin with anyway. Maybe get some Norwich scouts too. Look, we hopefully we've got a good scouting system behind us. Honestly, you have to think with the 49ers and Red Bull combined, that they will have the scouting network on lock. You have to believe that. So it's going to be interesting to see who will be the first through the door. Like I said, I want to see players like this. Somebody in the comments yesterday mentioned about scouting South America. As long as you can get a passport for them in terms of, being eligible to come to play to England, that's got to be something else you have to factor in as well. Like I say, Brexit is a thing. Then I'm all for it. There's gems all over the place, people. They're just out there. You just have to find them. You just have to find them. Yeah, Matt C as well. Talk about Llorente. A lot of fans wanted Llorente gone, so no bad blood there. Yeah, and I think he wanted to move as well, Matt. I think he had pretty much got tired of it. And it was one of those things as well. And, don't have to go into it again, but, he had a couple of bad games in a row. And one was horrendous. I think it was the Brentford one, if anyone remembers that. I think that was the Tony hat-trick one. He got dropped for Liam Cooper. And then Cooper goes on to have 8-9 games of absolute nothing. and he doesn't get dropped. It's just that same old cycle again with that group of players that just they have to do something catastrophic in order to get dropped. It's crazy, but yeah, I think he just got sick of it as well. But at the same time as well, he wasn't great in the Prem. He wasn't great. John H saying it seems like we won't have any funds available till a couple get sold. I don't think we'll be seeing any incomings for more than 5 million. We'll see, John. We will absolutely see. You're probably right. Maybe somebody does need to move on. Maybe it does have to be a Somerville. Maybe it has to be a Nanto first. But they've already said, Paraga's already said there is money there. But for me, John, it's not about seeing a signing for more than 5 million. It's about the quality of the player. It's about that. It's never been about the money for me. But if you're overpaid, that's an issue. But if you get a player for under 3 million and he's a gem, you're laughing both sides because he's going to be good for you. And hopefully he can take you to the next level. But if not, you sell him on for a massive load of money. So it works out great both ways. Yeah, I hear you. Ronnie saying Sara is great, but I think Philogene has hard potential. Nah. Sara's. I mean, it's all opinions, Ronnie. But nah, for me, I don't know why. I don't know why Philogene is coming up so much. Is there a reason why he keeps getting brought up by people? And because I've seen it in the comments loads, I just ignore it. I'll be honest with you. But why does Philogene keep on getting brought up? I don't know why. Bobby is saying here we can't force Somerville to leave. No one's forcing him, Bob. No one's forcing him. I'd rather sell Gray. He's one for the future. We need players for now. I say Gray's for the now and future. Much like the Jorginho talk, Bob. You know, people talking about the horrible finishing of Jorginho last season, and I'm one of them. You know, he needs to improve the shooting. But who's to say this season Jorginho doesn't work on that? I mean, he gets into 15 goals this season. No one knows. Archie Gray, we're just scratching the surface with Archie. We're just scratching the surface. There is more to come from Archie Gray. And why can't we be the beneficiaries of it instead of another club doing it? You know, we've seen that in the past, and I can only name a few names here. Milner being one, Kasper Schmeichel being another. We sold him just before he, blossomed into his dad, basically. You know, he was brilliant, Kasper Schmeichel. And you could see that there was the shoots of that were there at Leeds United, and we sold him for 1.5. But yeah, in terms of Somerville or Gray, listen, perfect world, Bob. We keep them both, but we know that's highly unlikely. But I think that Gray is probably more likely to stay another season over Cree Somerville. Just that the interest in Cree is ramping up, and it's just a little too strong for me. But we shall see. Isaac here saying Archer will grow a lot by next season. I reckon he'll add goals too. And you know what, Isaac, that's a perfect segue to the final segment, because I want to just quickly touch on Junior Firpo. And Leeds United, tweeted this yesterday. But listen, playing as a winger, okay? Junior helped the Dominican Republic defeat the British Virgin Islands, next door neighbors team, 4-0 last night, World Cup qualifying, winning a penalty and getting an assist. Now, what I want to just talk about there, because we just spoken about Archie, who himself had to go back to right back this year and did well overall, except for against the more tricky wingers, like the Millers, and everything else like that. He did have a couple of tough games there, but he's not a natural right back. I'm thinking here, if we are to move somebody around, does Junior Firpo go to left wing, and we get in the left back that we actually need, who's more sound defensively? Because I don't see any minuses to Junior Firpo being a winger at this level. Please let me make that clear. At this level, I just need to make sure that there's no miscommunication there. I think there are so many pluses with Junior. We saw towards the back end of the season when he was allowed to go forward, or when he did venture forward, he did rack up assists, and he would put in a few balls there where you're just hoping someone would get on the end of them. And I just think playing in that role on a more full-time basis may suit him more, because I just, defensively, he gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm not going to lie. He does. I think he's a nightmare defensively. But going forward, I don't know. I think, is it something that Leeds United could look to do in the new season if he is still here? That's another thing as well, if he's still here. Yeah, that's what it is, John. It seems like a hipster shout, the Philogene one. I haven't seen it. I got to be honest. I haven't seen it. Leeds, here we go. Firpo stock has just ramped up. Matt Seedo saying no, KG, no. Darren here saying Firpo has to go, but he says something else. Hugh here. is saying, as a winger, I don't think he has the tech. Well, listen, this is the thing, though, man. You don't need that much tech in this league. And we saw, look, it's not even a guess here. Junior did it. He did it for us for large portions of the season when he played a more advanced role because we had the ball most of the time. And playing as a winger in the championship, I think would suit him. And he doesn't have to think about defensive work because, quite frankly, he don't think about it anyway. It's a nightmare watching him trying to defend. And I always say it, but the games against Birmingham, Rotherham stick out in my head like he shouldn't be that bad against those kind of teams, but he was defensively. He was fine going forward, but defensive work, he was a crutch. So I don't know. I'm not saying that I want him as our first choice winger as well, by the way. Need to make that clear. But I'm just thinking we've moved around other people. We've moved Ampadu back into defense when he should be in defensive midfield. We've moved Archie Gray from centre midfield to right back. Is it worth moving Junior from left back to left wing? That's all I'm saying. And John, yeah, John, that's a fair shout as well. Firpo's more tech than Dan James. Yeah, Dan James is overall a better winger then obviously better winger than Firpo, but the first touch and ability, Firpo's definitely got more technical ability than Dan James. Dan James is just more blood and thunder, will run past you and will cause havoc, but in a good way at this level. Need to say that. But yeah, definitely Firpo's more technical than James, 100. And Sean here, the league is 10 times easier too than last year. It is 100%. It is way easier, way easier. Someone's just asked a question here. Let me get to it. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, Scott Lightning in the house. Would you accept 3 million for Firpo or just keep him for the last 12 months of his contract? Ooh, well, is there conditions on this, Scott? Have we replaced him at left back? Scott, have we replaced him at left back? Because then, if so, yes, I would sell him for 3 million. Yes, yeah, quite frankly, I would. Look, I'm not Firpo's biggest fan. I've made that very clear. I'm just trying to work with what we've got currently and who I think may still be here come next season, and the best way to get the best out of them. And Firpo for me is in no shape, way, or form a defender. He's not. So if you could get him as a winger, yeah. But Scott, if you're saying we get 3 million for him and we get a new left back, I'm doing that 100% because I don't trust him. He gives me nightmares defensively. I would, yeah. And Scott saying we would do obviously, well then absolutely, Scott, 100% sell. Because what I don't want to see Scott and everyone else is Firpo have another decent year and we give him a 4-year contract. I think it would be a nightmare to if we got to the Prem and he's on the books. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. I like him as a guy. I do. I think there's a decent player in there, but he's not Premier League in the slightest for me. Leeds here saying sell Firpo and throw Bamford in for free. Tremendous. Chris here though saying I honestly don't think the league is easier. The harder teams aren't as hard, but the draws aren't as bad. I think it evens out now, Chris. I don't know what you're smoking there. Tell me, Chris, then who is going to be as good as Leicester this year? And or even a Southampton who themselves, not only did they go up at our expense, they went through a crazy unbeaten run during the season. Crazy, which started with us as it happens. I don't know why the link is terrible. But Chris, there is no one like Leicester or Southampton in this division. Burnley could be the closest thing to it. Luton aren't going to be anywhere near it for me. I'll just say it now. Luton aren't going to be anywhere near it, and Sheffield United are rebuilding, Chris. And you think of the teams that come up: Derby, Oxford, and I forget the other one. Forgotten the other one. But yeah, look. Yeah, Tom saying, think many fans may be in for a surprise if they think we'll walk the league this season. On paper, we may be favourites, but teams know how to play against us. But it's going to be different, though, Tom. There's going to be different personnel in, regardless, buying and selling. There's going to be different personnel. And the thing is, I always say this, you can always know how to play against a team, but it's up to that team to make it work. People knew what Thierry Henry was going to do, didn't they? Cutting left. They knew what Aaron Robben was going to do. How many goals have you seen from Aaron Robben that look exactly the same? It's all well and good knowing how to play against something, but it's up to you as a team to know how to defeat what the other team are trying to do. And I think that we'll do that this season. I'm not saying it's going to be a walk in the park, and the league isn't one on paper, as we very well know. But as long as we get the recruitment right, then we shouldn't have so much bother like we did last season. I just don't see it happening. But yeah, that's is it Portsmouth? It's Portsmouth. Of course, it's Portsmouth. Yeah, how could I forget? That's what I'm saying. You can't tell me that this league's harder than last season. Absolutely not. Um, And yeah, Leeds. Of course, league is easy. Well, easier, shall we say? And look, we're fans talking. Football players will be looking at it as it should be, and that's going to be a tough league. That's how they should be looking at it, and that's how Leeds should be looking at it. But yeah, Leeds here saying league is easy, but Farke needs a plan B and squad rotate. Well, look, yeah, we've been through this, but obviously that's what comes with recruitment. Is he going to buy the players? Are 49 is going to recruit players that he will trust to use from the bench? That's what we need to know, and also to rotate as well from the Tuesday Saturday thing, because we don't need to see the same team sheet Saturday Tuesday and then the next Saturday be the same team sheet. That's too much. You do need to swap out a few players, keep it fresh, keep the players motivated as well. I think people forget about that when you're on the bench and you know you're not going to get a game. And that's where I go a bit with the Charlie Creswell thing about talking about his attitude and stuff. If you not even getting a sniff or getting some game time, what is your motivation? You can always do the thing and say, yeah, I'm trained as hard as possible. I'm giving it everything I've got. But if you know you've got no chance of playing, just think about how your own personal motivation would be. And that's what I'm saying. That's why you got to keep the players interested as well. Keep them fresh. Josh is saying, and I think this is a fair one. The league should definitely be easier, but there will be some surprises. Yeah, look, Ipswich were the surprise last year, weren't they? They were the surprise. If you're looking on paper, when you're looking at the two teams, Ipswich Leeds, with a better squad, but Ipswich got the job done, and kudos to him. Absolute kudos to him. But yeah, absolutely, there'll be surprises, but this is what Leeds have to navigate against and make sure it doesn't happen again this season. That comes with recruitment. Um, yeah, and that's it, people. That's all we got for today. That's all it is. Just a quick one today in regards to the winger that's going around and the information that I had. If you haven't seen it already, go back to the start and you can see that there. Oh, Isaac, yeah, and we'll finish with this. Isaac, I agree the league standards will be lower next year. Having said that, I hope the 49ers don't underestimate, though. I want us to cruise through the next year. Isaac, that's exactly my point. You've echoed exactly what I think. 49ers, it is going to be an easier league on paper, but make sure, don't take a chance on it. Don't think, I think we've got enough here to get through. Make sure that you've got enough to go through. Let us get promoted by March. One of those. Let's not have any nail biting moments. Let's just get promoted in March and then plan for the Premier League on that summer. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? But this is Leeds, isn't it? It ain't always that Leedsy, is it? But yeah, just like Bob says here, before you go, people, please hit a like on the video if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one, people. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Peace out.